Well, hello world. Welcome to Facebook Live with Post University. This is our first Facebook Live event, and we've decided to focus on student finance and financial aid and what we can do to help our students with this process. I'm here today. First of all, my name is Bob Sembianti. I'm the Director of Communications at Post University. I am here with Sharon Sweeney, Vice President of Student Finance. Hello, Sharon.
Hello, Bob.
And I'm here with Mike Greer, Associate Director of Financial Aid Advising. So we have a lot of ground to cover tonight, and we want to get to your questions. Well, a little bit of welcoming information first. First of all, we want to make sure everyone is aware. It is 57 days, I believe, to commencement. It's a big event here on campus. We're coming to you live, by the way, from Hess Hall on Post's Waterbury campus. We're in my office, actually, so nice to have you both here. Thank you. Sorry I didn't have refreshments ready or anything like that, or that I'm not as well dressed as this group. Mike Greer is the bow tie man, so we won't mention the socks, but trust me, the socks always coordinated. We want to make sure everyone is aware that tonight we want to follow the Facebook community standards. We're encouraging respectful behavior in your comments, of course. We have a few topics that Sharon and Mike are going to cover. We're going to talk about the financial aid advisors and give some suggestions on best ways that they can help you. We're going to talk about disbursement and refund process, explain a little bit about the timing of that, and talk about things you can do to help with that process. There might be some information you're not aware of. We've been finding through comments on Facebook there is some information students aren't aware of, and we want to use this as a regular forum to share information. We're going to talk about Post's financial services providers, so you can hear some names of some of the partners we work with who are going to help you through the process. And then we want to get to some questions and answers. We might chime in. I'm going to be a disembodied voice sitting off at the side, and we'll give a chance to read some questions to all of you, and hopefully we'll get to answer some. But we want to remind you the best way to get your questions answered is to contact your financial aid advisor at Post University. Tonight we won't be able to delve into specific situations because obviously we don't want to talk about your financial situation to the world. So questions should be in a general format. However, I'll be tracking all the questions that are coming in, and we can reach back to you at a later time and get back to you with a specific answer. But I think we're okay to get started, and I think I'll pass it over now to Sharon and to Mike. I'll be off camera watching what's going on. Have fun, everybody.
Thank you, Bob. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening on our first Facebook Live event. We know that financial aid is a very complex topic, and we thought by addressing it and helping answer some of your questions, it might put you a little bit more at ease. It's a very highly regulated area by the Department of Education, since that's where the funds are coming in. And we have to adhere to a lot of the rules and regulations. So a lot of your questions or maybe a lot of your concerns might be based on what we're required to do. So we're going to talk about a number of topics and walk you through the process so you have a better understanding of how it works.
So we wanted to start by talking about what the role of a financial aid advisor is. So I would start by saying that we have a team of financial aid advisors that are well trained in the various rules that Sharon was mentioning about financial aid and are really equipped to help any student. Obviously, you are encouraged to work directly with your specific financial aid advisor, but we want you to know that there's an entire team available to help you. And that team is separated, so when you begin your journey with Post and you're working with your admissions representative as part of that enrollment team, you do have a specific financial aid advisor. And then once you begin classes and you start working with your academic success counselor, you're transitioned over to a retention financial aid advisor. Both are equally equipped to assist you in any questions that you may have. And their main goal is really to make sure that when you fall asleep at night, you're not concerned about how you're going to pay for your education. We really want to help you overcome the roadblocks of financial aid and guide you to graduation. You know, commencement's a couple days away, and financial aid advisors are always looking forward to seeing their students walk across the stage. We understand that we play a big role in your graduation and you successfully achieving your degree. We want to be there for you. And as Bob was mentioning, when you have questions, If you don't want to have just a general financial aid advisor answer them, you're more than welcome to reach out to your financial aid advisor through phone or email, and they will get back to you within 24 hours. We set the expectation that by the time a financial aid advisor leaves for the day, they've gotten back to you, whether it's by returning a voicemail or responding to an email. So anytime you reach out to them, they will be getting back to you as quickly as they can.
Thanks, Mike. I'm excited to talk to you about a new tool that is going to be rolling out, and all the students who will be getting a financial aid award letter will get this tool. However, if you'd like a copy, please feel free to reach out to your financial aid advisor and we can supply it. So let me explain what it does. Often you get an award letter which tells you which funds you're entitled to receive from the Department of Education. But what you don't see all in one place is, what are my tuition and fee charges? How much is that going to cost? Where is my aid? And does that leave me with an outstanding balance, or am I going to have extra funds? So this tool is going to provide that information for you in a very easy to understand format. There's some other really critical information that you may not be aware of that, again, this tool will supply. For example, how much have you borrowed to date from the federal student loan programs from all the various institutions that you might have attended, as well as from Post? And in addition, how much remaining eligibility will you have? And Mike will talk a little bit more about some of the federal limits you may not be aware of. And finally, there will also be some information when you do go into repayment on your student loans. How can you estimate the amount of your monthly payment? So all of this information is coming to you in a single document that we think you'll find to be most helpful.
Some of the other things that financial aid advisors do to help out our students, they, like I said, work with them to overcome objections. Those objections can be providing us with proof of your high school graduation. So it's something that you do through the enrollment process, but without that proof of graduation from a high school, we're unable to complete your financial aid. Without that, no completion of financial aid, no disbursement of aid, and eventually we won't be allowing you to continue your education. So that roadblock is a major hurdle that financial aid advisors try to help students overcome. In addition to turning in their proof of high school graduation, there's always going to be financial aid documents that students need to turn in as well. Those documents may change over time. For students who have gone through the verification process, they understand that after we receive the initial wave of documents, we may have additional questions that we might need. So the financial aid advisor is there to help you understand what's being asked of you and to assist you in turning those in. Another resource for students to overcome these documents is our Net Partner system. The Net Partner system is a website that you're able to access through a username and password that your financial aid advisor can present you with. And there you'll be able to view your awards, accept or decline any student loans that we have awarded you, but also see the documents that are missing on your account. And when you turn them in, you can see the financial aid advisor receive the documents and as they move through that approval process. The Net Partner website is a really powerful tool because it gives you insight into what's going on with your financial aid. How much aid do you have? When will it disperse? How much of it will disperse? All that information is available on the Net Partner website, so we really encourage students to go there as an initial stop to get information about your financial aid. And as always, if you have questions about what you see or you're unsure, maybe it says that a document's missing that you feel you've turned in, always reach out to your financial aid advisor. They can see the same information that you're viewing, and they'll be able to resolve any confusion.
So one of the most common topics that we get a lot of questions on are disbursements and refunds. Disbursements is when we're ready to pay your financial aid and apply it to your account. So with the disbursement process, we pay a portion of your financial aid every single mod. And there are a number of things that we have to look at before we can begin the disbursement process. The very first week of every mod is add drop. So students are adding courses, they're dropping courses, and until all of that settles, we cannot pay financial aid because we don't have accurate information as to the number of courses you're actually enrolled in. The next thing is once add drop has settled, we have participation. So the federal regulations are very clear that it's not just a matter of logging into your course, but participating in your course if you're an online student. That's a requirement in order to get the federal funds. So the second week of a mod is the participation week. Once we know that you've participated in your courses, then we can start the disbursement process and apply funds to your account. We've been using a new method to be able to get the refunds, that's excess funds, when your financial aid exceeds your charges. And I know that's a concern to many students, is the speed of getting the refunds to you. And we are working very hard with a new process to begin to expedite that, so you don't have to wait as long as you may have in the past. The federal regulations state that if funds are dispersed to your account, which creates a credit balance, we have 14 calendar days to refund it to you. And we don't want to take 14 days because we know you're dependent on that fund to live on, to pay for educational expenses. So it's not our goal to stretch it out. It's actually our goal to get it to you, the student, as quickly as possible and alleviate the financial concerns that you have.
I have a question. I wanted to mention Arnisha Lewis has asked a question. Hi Arnisha, how are you? The question is it still mandatory for current and new students to take out student loans, whether they are online or on-campus students?
Okay, I can answer that.
Okay.
It's never mandatory for a student to take out a loan. When we prepare an offer of awards to you, you, the student, make the decision as to whether you accept that. There are not a lot of students that refuse to take grant money because it's free money that doesn't have to be paid back. But there are some students who would rather make payments, or maybe they're getting tuition reimbursement and prefer not to use federal student loans. That is perfectly okay.
And if a different method of payment shows up later, say for example you accepted the loan and then you get a new job that offers tuition reimbursement, you can always decline the future disbursements of the loan, and vice versa. Say you currently have a job that offers tuition reimbursement, a couple modules later you lose that job and you want to accept the loan that you previously declined, call up your financial aid advisor and we can re-offer it to you.
That's a great point, Mike.
Okay, no other questions, so we can go back to our schedule of points we're going to discuss.
Perfect.
So one of the things that takes a little bit of time is we do have to review the accounts before we get the refunds out. But with the new tool, I think you will find that it is going to be much quicker than you may have experienced in the past.
For a lot of our students, you'll notice that you are notified when the refund is processed on your account by BankMobile. So BankMobile is the third-party vendor that post-university uses to process our refunds. Once we have the refund ready to be sent out, we send it to BankMobile, and then you receive the funds from BankMobile in a method of your choosing. You have the option to use BankMobile as basically a bank account. They will send you a card, and you can use that card with your refund on it. Or you can bypass BankMobile entirely and have your funds direct deposited into your personal bank account. The choice is completely up to you, and that information won't come back to post-university. So we won't know what your bank account information is or if you chose to leave the funds with BankMobile. But it is important to maintain access to BankMobile so that you can view the history of your refunds, the date and amount of your refunds, so that you have that information and you don't only have to rely on calling up your financial aid advisor. But again, a reoccurring theme, if at any point something doesn't look correct to you or you're unsure about the timing or amount of a refund or a line item, always call your financial aid advisor and they'll be happy to explain any misunderstanding that you have. Beyond the BankMobile resource, you also have a resource of the National Student Loan Database System. So you can access that at any time. The website is nslds.ed.gov. Stands for the National Student Loan Data System. By logging on there with your personal information, you're able to see your entire loan history, not just your loan history for post-university. What's important there, especially while we're talking about refunds, is to keep an eye on your total lifetime aggregate loan limit. So as a dependent student, who are typically under the age of 24, your maximum student loan debt cannot exceed $31,000. As an independent student, who are typically students older than 24, but other situations could determine independency, your maximum student loan borrowing amount is $57,500. Your loan debt can never exceed that amount. If it does, and you still have classes left to take to graduate, we're going to need to find alternative sources of funding. So as we're talking about refunds, it's always important to understand that there is a balance between using those funds for living expenses and saving those funds in order to graduate.
Very good. And in addition to that, if you go on to nslds.ed.gov, you can find out who your servicer is. So while all of the loan money comes from the federal government contracts with servicers, and those servicers are assigned to you. They will be the company that's contacting you about time for repayment. So it's a good idea to get to know who they are now, and that way when they are contacting you, it won't be a surprise.
We have a question, if it's a good moment to do so. This is from Jenny Garcia. Hello, Jenny. How do you know if you qualify for a grant when you apply for financial aid?
That's a great question, Jenny. So when you complete your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, at the time you click submit, you should be getting an expected family contribution. That number determines how needy you are in the eyes of the federal government. One thing to keep in mind is the federal grants are available for undergraduate students, not graduate students. So if you take a look at that number, and if it's below about $5,300, you will potentially qualify for some federal grant money.
I have another question. This is again from Arnisha Lewis. We might need to go into some detail offline, but Arnisha's asking, how do we backtrack on loans that we were made to take out that we didn't want to originally take out on our enrollment to post?
I would suggest a conversation with a financial aid advisor to get into a little more detail.
Okay.
As a general response, if students do have a loan out, they can repay that at any point in time.
Right.
There are a couple different types of loans. The better loan is the subsidized loan, because what that means is the taxpayers are subsidizing the interest while the student's enrolled in school up until 6 months after they are no longer enrolled at least half-time, or 6 months after graduation. So that is really an interest-free loan until the student goes into repayment. Unfortunately, the amount of subsidized loans students can get are limited, so most students end up getting both the subsidized and the unsubsidized. And with the unsubsidized, that loan begins to accrue interest once the disbursement is made.
And in relation to that question, just to connect a couple of the other dots that we've talked about, if you log into the nslds.ed.gov, you can see who your loan servicer is. And by viewing who your loan servicer is, you'll be able to contact them and set up payments with them. You can arrange for early payment. You can consult them about if you offer, some loan servicers offer direct deposit, and they will give you an interest subsidy back. So connecting with them to repay that loan early, there's no penalty for it, and you don't even need to go through post-university. That can be totally up to you. You can be in control of when you repay your loan debt. Do we have any other questions?
No other questions. Where are we in our list of topics we wanted to discuss?
I think we've covered the list for tonight. As I said, financial aid can be overwhelming, and we wanted to touch on some of the highlights and some of the things that might be of most interest to the students. But we look forward to hearing from you, hopefully in person, so we can address your individual concerns or questions. We're always welcome to help you. And again, our goal is to get you to graduation. We'd like to meet each and every one of you at graduation.
It's a fun time here on campus, it really is. So this is the first in a series you're going to see on Facebook on different topics throughout the university. We have many questions that come in all our social media channels. We're trying to make the experience more personal, even though some of you are out around the country and around the world. It would be interesting to see, just curiously, before we end the conversation here, maybe some of you can type in where you're watching from. So after the talk, we can see where some of you are coming in from. We want to remind you, if you're obviously following us on Facebook, but please take a look at where Post University is on Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. Our blog, blog.post.edu is the address. It's called Post Insights. and there's exclusive content that we create there. It'd be fun. Have you guys been to the blog?
No, but I've been to the Instagram page.
You have been to the, thank you, Instagram. We have our Instagram page. We're going to be doing some fun things with that, where we want to do some student takeovers, where you'll submit a group of pictures to us and we'll post them. What we're looking for, particularly from our online students, is to start receiving some photos of where you work on your schoolwork, where you do your college work, and if we can see your workstations and have some fun with that, that would be fun. Sharon, thank you. Mike, thank you. Great things happening. It's hard for some of you when you don't see the perspective. Sharon, how long have you been at Post?
About a year and a half.
Mike, how long have you been at Post?
Almost 8 years.
And I've been here, this is my 6th year. So Sharon is the newest member. Sharon had a really interesting viewpoint to come in from outside and take a look at the whole financial services landscape here, and has done great things to begin transforming this department to better serve all of our students. And that's what we want. We as Mike said, and Mike is one of the guys, along with Sharon, who is here on commencement day and is shaking hands and is meeting the students every year. You've just already chosen your outfit for this year. We'll talk about that later. There's a great group of people here, and for those of you who get to commencement and get to campus to come see them, we have a great time. But before that, we want to get you to that point. Let's use all the tools we have of communicating. That's my job as the Director of Communications, to find new ways to engage our students. I have to go from here to press the button and turn this off. So everybody wave to the camera for a minute. We'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.